Hi.
This is page 71. We're putting together all three, the sine, cosine, and tangent. First of all, it would be helpful if we had the formulas at the top of our paper. So let's copy them. Sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent.
Wait.
Stop.
I'm not even giving directions.
Copy the three formulas at the top of the paper. Now you'll notice that there are 12 practice problems here. It says find the missing sides of the triangle using trig. If you look at number 1, you have how many variables this time? You have 2. We have P and we have R. You will notice every single problem on this paper has 2 variables. So now we're at the point where you have to be strategic, which means you can't just, this is not a problem where I tell you it's sine and you just do sine on the whole thing. This is where you have to get comfortable knowing when am I using sine, when am I using cosine, or when am I using tangent. Okay? The first thing you need to do to be able to answer that question is you need to label your triangle. If at any point you say you don't understand this and I walk over and your paper is blank, then I'm going to say, why didn't you label your triangle? Because that's why you don't understand it. Go to your picture. What did I say to draw first? From the right angle to the hypotenuse. Then let's put an H there. Then go to the acute angle, make an arc or something to draw your attention to it, and then you ask yourself the other unlabeled side, how are each of these positioned to the 37? I tend to label opposite first because it's the one farthest away, not touching it. And I always can tell, I always think of like a megaphone. This sounds weird, but I think of like a megaphone. And the angle is opening up, so this is opposite. Which leaves the one left is always adjacent. And that's the routine when I'm labeling them. Okay? Once you have your triangle labeled, now you decide which letter you're going to solve for. What do you want to solve for? First. R. Okay. If I'm solving for R, I need to mute with my mind, meaning cover up with my hand. I need to mute out what part? I need to mute out the adjacent, the P, because I don't want to set up a trig ratio with 2 variables in it, right? Once I know the letter I'm solving for, I have to also use the side that's just a number in order to be able to solve for it. So mute out the other letter and ask yourself, look at your labels, what uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So you're going to set it up. Sine, angle, equals 37, equals opposite over hypotenuse. And then, of course, now you already know how to solve. It's cross multiply with the elbow arrow. That number to the front. You could write it here with the multiplication and mark it out, and then you could go straight to your calculator if you wanted to, if you don't have a lot of room.
Do you need to solve for the other letter?
You do have to solve for the other letter. Let me write. So this would be 22 sine 37. And then, of course, you would type that in. We are going to the nearest tenth. I'm going to write what I got here. R is 13.2. Now you repeat, but with the other letter. So if I'm solving for P, right, I would mute out R. And what uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. So you're going to set it up. Cosine angle equals P over 22.
Here's the funny thing. I got 14.
How do you get 14.2?
I don't know.
You might have just typed one number off. Did you type 22 sine 37?
Is it on three?
Can be, if you're solving for J.
What about K?
K is what part of the triangle? Okay, and does tangent use the hypotenuse? So then, so that means you would want a sine or cosine trig function in there. Did y'all get 17.6?
David Holcombe, Aaron, and all.
Okay, Trey, wake up. Trey. Hey, they just called you to the counseling office. Did you get 17.6 for number 1?
Yes.
So looking at number 2, like I said, we just had to come to Jesus talk about changing something. Okay? Can you put whatever that is down and can you go to this assignment, please? Label your triangle, so draw an arrow from the right angle to the hypotenuse. Then come to the acute angle to accent it. Then label your remaining sides. Which one would be opposite? 7. Which one would be adjacent? The J. Now pick a letter you want to solve for. Okay, if you're going to solve for J, you have to use the 7. So what is opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So we would set it up tan angle measure equals opposite over adjacent. Right?
Wait, hold up, back up. Dang it! Wait, what other one are you using? That long one.
And that's going to be the long one.
What other one are you using? Because I don't want to erase this and not it be what it is.
Well, if you look at your picture and how it's labeled, if you're solving for K, which part's that? Okay, and then if you're solving for K, you have to use 7, which part's that? Opposite, and that would be sine.
Okay, so that stays the same. Okay.
So that would be sine of the angle equals